12. So today in your third lesson, you are going to complete a different version of an exam practice. So we've had a go at answering or starting to answer one essay question and starting to plan out a full essay for that question. I'm now going to give you a different essay question so that you can practice writing about a different literary conflict. Remember, there's a chance that you could be asked to write about two or three or maybe just one literary conflict. So you need to basically be prepared for all three of them or maybe just one or two of them. So here is today's essay question. Now, what I want you to do is imagine that this is perusal time, and during perusal time, you're not allowed to do anything other than write or highlight things on your exam cover sheet. You cannot start writing on the lined paper. So during this time, what you need to do is read the question and read what it's asking you to do. Today, I'm going to read this to you. So it says, the literary conflict, man versus man, is conveyed throughout Khaled Hosseini's The Kite Runner, particularly through key events and characterization. Analyze this literary conflict with reference to key characters from the novel and justify how each character is a representation of this theme. So remember, during perusal time, you need to read the question, then read it again, and then on the third read through, you start to highlight the key words in the question. What are the things that you're being asked to talk about? The topics. What are the key skills that you need to showcase? Remember, the skills will always be doing words. Once you've highlighted the key skills and maybe the literary conflict, note, do you have to talk about one character or two characters or three characters? Does it mention that to you? And then once you've finished doing that, rewrite this question in your own words to yourself. So you might write, Aisha, what you need to do is, and write what you need to do in your own words for today. So I'd like you to pause this video, spend some time deconstructing the question, and rewrite the question in your own words. So you can pause this. Okay, so year 12, now that you've done that, let's imagine that Mr. Paul or myself or whoever is supervising the exam says your time starts now. You have 2 hours in this exam of writing time. You now need to start the writing process. So step one was perusal, 5 minutes of breaking down the question. Now we start to plan out our essay. The first thing you need to do is decide which characters will I talk about. Now you'll notice the question said characters, plural, not character, singular. So which characters are you going to talk about in relation to man versus man? Then you need to come up with your thesis. Remember, your thesis is your response to the essay question. I've just put up the thesis that we came up with last week. Note it's in regards to man versus self, not man versus man. So you need to come up with a thesis in relation to this question. You need to find an answer to the question that you're going to prove. Remember that your thesis must, go back a slide, your thesis must tell me the characters that you're going to talk about and use some adjectives to describe them, which you know you're going to talk about later, okay? So we're paraphrasing the question and we are adding in which characters we're going to be using to prove that, okay? So pause this video, write your thesis. Year 12, once you've written your thesis, we then go backwards and we continue to work through that Berger model, okay? And you need to plan out your Peel paragraphs. So for each Peel paragraph, you should be focusing on one character. What you need to look at is what's the point for your paragraph, okay? So the main point for my first body paragraph is going to be about a character and how they represent man versus man. Now, what evidence are you going to use? Let's say it's Amir. What evidence from the novel can you use to prove that? Put in the page numbers now, put in the examples now, so that when you're writing, you don't have to think about this. You've got your plan there. Remember, your plan is your compass. So what I would like you to do now is to pause this video, okay, and spend some time planning out what is your essay going to look like. Will you have two key characters that you talk about? If you do, I would suggest that you do 2 body paragraphs on each character, okay? If you do 3 characters, you can get away with doing 1 paragraph on each character. Pause this video, start to plan out your paragraphs using Peel. the point sentence, the evidence, and then how that links at least back to your main point. You can press pause. So year 12, once you've planned out your peels and your whole essay, the next part is to spend time writing. So write your essay on every second line if you can. Remember, if you can't find the right word, underline the word and come back to it and change it when you edit. I'm going to ask you now to spend some time writing your full introduction. Use the same checklist that we've been using for your introduction. So here it is. Your writing time starts now. Please follow the introduction checklist. Don't forget as well that this is more or less the structure that you should be using for the whole essay. This will change depending on how many pieces of evidence, quotes that you used. You need to make sure that you explain each piece of evidence. Your writing time starts now. Start with your introduction and moving on into your peel paragraphs. Best of luck, and we'll talk about this in Thursday's lesson.